Now that you're finished watching the Zombie College, the 5 rules of lab safety, we're going to be completing a word unscramble. Okay, so on the very first page of the homepage, you'll see the actual 5 rules of lab safety. Number 1 is dress for lab. Number 2 is personal protective equipment, PPE. Number 3 is chemical safety. Number 4 is safety equipment. And number 5 is lab behavior. You can always find these 5 rules of lab safety on the home page of the link that I'm going to give you. So now I've modified the unscramble to actually help you out. Most of these words can be unscrambled by going to the game. So the first direction says, you will find the answer to these questions on the home page and in the game. This link right here is to the lab safety rules that we just completed or just actually started reading. And then this link right here is actually to the game. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to click on that and pull that up. So the 5 rules of lab safety from the Zombie College. You're going to want to put in your name. Okay, they're saying, welcome to the Zombie College. And you get to pick a character today. So, I think I'm going to pick Amy. There you go, that's better. You can see it. And Amy says, zombies, let's do this. Okay, let me read this to you. It says, grr, help! Professor McLean, hurry, let's get inside where it's safer. Well, sort of. Amy, this way. And then what you're going to want to do, there's a next button right here. You're going to want to press the next button. Professor, do you know what caused this? Yes, get in the elevator. The government's been partnering with us on some R&D. Unfortunately, some of our students ignored the 5 rules of lab safety. Now we have quite the mess on our hands. This is where it happened, the beginning of the end. Wait, you can't go in the lab dressed like that. You need a lab makeover. So rule number 1 is dress for lab. Proper attire is critical for safety and includes closed-toe shoes, long pants, and a shirt that covers your torso and upper arms. All right, so what you're going to want to do is go back to the answer document, and we're actually now on rule number 1. So rule number 1, we already found out, and actually you can go back to go back here and find what rule number 1 is, okay? So you found rule number 1, and what you're going to want to do is type it here. Type your answer here. Okay, so now you're going to have to unscramble these words. So it says A, and then it has actually 3 words. And actually what I did is I made it easier for you to type through, and I actually gave you some clues. So, and also you have to make sure that you spell all the words correctly. Okay, so you see how many spaces there are at the top. You're going to want to make sure each of these letters is accounted for. All right, so rule number 1 is talking about lab safety. Now, some of the words are actually found on this screen. Let me make it larger for you. So what words can you find on this screen? So if we go back to this page, so number 1A, there's 3 words, okay? Go back to here, oops. And there's actually one with 3 words on there. I don't want to give it, I'll give it all away. Okay, number 2, it's 2 words. And as you can see, one of the words starts, the very first word of 1B, it starts with an L, and then the next letter is an O. So an L, O, and then 2 missing letters, and then the next word is a P, starts with a P. So let's see, we go back over here. If we can find a word that has that, an L and an O, and then the second word starts with a P. Okay, number 3. Let's keep on going, actually. So I'm going to press next. Okay, so we have, so now what we're going to do, we're going to dress for the lab. So click on what items you'll need to wear for the lab. Well, I know that I need to have a hair tie. Yeah, because long hair can be dangerous in the lab, especially when working with Bunsen burners. Tying it back with a rubber band is a great idea. And I also know I'm going to need some closed-toe shoes. Yeah, good choice. These sneakers have a non-slip sole, and they provide better protection against broken glass and spills. Oh, you know what? She has shorts on, so that's not good. So let me put some jeans on. Yep. Long pants cover your legs better than shorts, which will minimize your exposure to spills or splash hazards. Now you're dressed properly for lab, but what should you do about the jewelry and chewing gum? So let's go back up to the first option. It says, the jewelry is fine because I'll be wearing a lab coat, but I should spit my gum out. Option number 2 says, as long as I don't blow bubbles, I can keep the gum in my mouth, but I should put my jewelry in my lab coat pocket. Or option number 3, I should spit out my gum and leave my jewelry in my locker. All right, but let's go back to our answer document. Okay, number 1, we've actually said the word a couple of times. 1C, the first letter of the one word that we're trying to unscramble starts with a J. And now I just said it a few times. Now number 1D is 2 words. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to give you this word. It's unrestrained. Unrestrained. Okay, so try to figure it out with the letters that are available. I put in a lot of letters, but you can probably figure out what the last word is. Okay, but the first word of 1D is unrestrained. Unrestrained. And what I would do if you don't know how to spell it, go into Google and try to figure out how to spell it. Okay. All right. So now, what is rule number 2? What is rule number 2? Let's go back. Yep, that's right. Never bring food or drink into the lab. Jewelry and other personal items should be left in your locker. Congratulations! Rule number 1, dress for lab, is successfully completed. Great job. Let's keep on going. Rule number 2, personal protective equipment. Oh, okay. Well, it tells us right there then. So then what you're going to do, you're going to type it right here. Okay, so type it right there. Personal protective equipment. So number 2 has actually only 3 words that you have to unscramble. So, but let's go back to the lab and the game and try to figure it out. Welcome to the lab. Now that you're properly dressed, it's time for proper PPE. Okay, so what personal protective equipment should you use for general lab work? Okay, so, well, let's go back to the word scramble. I know I put down here that the first 2A, the first letter of the first word starts with an S, and then the next letter starts with a G. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find something that starts with an S and then starts with a G. Oh, let me see here. Did you find it? Okay, I'm not going to tell you. So what I want you to do is actually write, once you find the first word that starts with an S and the second word that starts with a G, write it, actually type it down, and then go on to the next word. All right, the first, it's only one word for 2B. It's only one word for 2B, and the first letter starts with a G. So let's go back. It's only one word, and it starts with a G. Did you find it? Okay, type it out. All right, 2C is actually two words. The first letter starts with an L, and then the second word starts with a C. Okay, look for something that starts with an L and then starts with a C, and make sure that you spell the words correctly. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is move on over. Yep, congratulations. Personal protective equipment. We successfully completed rule number 2. Excellent. Keep up the good work, and you might just make it out of this situation without turning into a zombie. All right, so we're going to the next section. Ooh, rule number 3, chemical safety. Now that you're wearing PPE, let's talk about chemical safety. So, what you're going to do, again, we're on rule number 3. You're going to type in the actual rule right there, okay? All right, so for instance, you should add water to an acid or acid to the water. Well, the video says we should add acid to the water. Right, always add an acid or base to the solvent, such as water. Pouring the solvent into an acid or base can cause a violent reaction and you will get burned. Well played. Let's go next. All right, so what I'm going to do actually is you can actually find the rest of the answers in here. Let me see. Now this is what a chemical safety data sheet looks like. But what I wanted to do is bring your attention to what is down here. So let me make this larger for you. Okay, so it says, every chemical in the lab must have a safety data sheet. The SDS describes the chemical's properties, such as the ingredients, first aid, handling, storage, its expiration date, and flammability. Okay, so what we're going to do, because I've already said a bunch of those words, we're going to go back to, let me see here. We're going to go to 3. Okay, so 3A, it's one word, and the first letter starts with an I. Okay, 3A is one word, and the first letter starts with an I, and I actually read it. The answer is here. The first letter starts with an I. Okay, here is a hint. If your mom was trying to, or your dad was following a new recipe, they're going to need to gather these things before they get started. Okay, and the word is right there. All right, so that's 3A. 3B is 2 words. 2 words. The first word starts with an F. The second word starts with an A. I see it. Do you see it? The first word starts with an F, and then the second word starts with an A. All right, 3C. Okay, so this one actually got separated. The first word starts with an H, okay, and then the other word starts with an S, and they're actually right next to each other. Still in that same little paragraph, the first word starts with an H, okay? And then the second word starts with an S. All right, 3D actually is 2 words, okay? So like for instance, you want to pay attention to this information, especially like for instance, if you have milk, okay, you don't want to have the milk that's been in your refrigerator for 2 months. You want to first look at this particular information. All right, so it's actually, the first word is pretty long, but it starts with an E and then an X, E, then an X, and then the second word starts with a D. E and an X, okay? And then the second word starts with a D. All right, so now 3E is actually 2 words, 2 words. The first word starts with an F. First word starts with an F, and then let me see if I can find it in here. Let me see if I see it. All right, so this one is not as easy to be able to see, but the second word starts with an H and it's over here. It starts with an H, okay? And then the first word is right here. If you can see a word that starts with an F, that's 4 letters long. That starts with an F, that's 4 letters long. All right, so that is rule number 3. Yeah, so congratulations, rule number 3, science chemical safety, successfully completed. Keep it up. We're halfway there, making progress. If only the last class had been so attentive. Okay, so we finished that. So now we're going to go to rule number 4. Rule number 4. All right, so we see rule number 4 is safety equipment. You should know where the safety equipment is located and know how to use it. Your immediate response to emergency could save a life. Okay, so let's, it says here, use this in the event of a chemical spill that comes in contact with your skin. So, if something's coming in contact with your skin, let's click here. Pull the overhead, oops, let me see here. Is it working? Oh, it says pull the overhead handle and remove any clothing that might be contaminated. Okay, so there is a word here and then something that you should be doing every day when you're dirty. You go do this. It's SH. So what is this? 2 words. Okay. And actually, this is what this is, this contraption. So you pull on it, and everyone has this in their house. Okay. They should be using it every day, maybe sometimes twice a day. If you're dirty or something like that. Okay. But, and then the first word, yeah, it starts with an S. We always want to be this in class. All right, use this for minor injuries like cuts or scrapes. But let's go back to our word scramble. All right, so words 4B, 3 words. All right, the first word only has 3 letters, and the first letter is an E, okay? And then the second letter is, actually it tells you, wash. Yep, I'm just going to type that in because it already tells you. So something E, wash, and then what's the next word? So this one's this one, yep, first aid kit. This one, this, oh, chemical splash, yeah. So if something gets in your eye, right, you want to use this, this device right here, okay? All right. So number two words, and then the next, the second word is BL and then an N, okay? So let's go here. Nope. Actually, you can actually see if you look really closely. Actually, the words are there. You use this to smother a fire. You use this to smother a fire. And the word, you might be a little bit tiny, so that's why you're going to have to do this on your own. You're just watching this video to see what you have to do. But the words are for C is actually on the screen, right? Okay, so now we're going to go to 4D. 4D. 4D, again, something that you could actually see. The letters are there. 4D. It starts with an F. The first word starts with an F. The second word starts with an A. Starts with an A. All right, so now 4E. 4E. If you see a large fire, you're going to want to use this. If you see a large fire, you're going to want to use this. Okay, so that is lab safety rule number 4. Okay, so let's go to lab safety rule number 5. Oops, let me see, try again. Smother out a fire. Yep, fire blanket. There you go. And the evacuation route is right there. Great work. Now that you've mastered your safety equipment, let's move on to the final rule. Fantastic. Great job. We might just get out of this with our brains intact. Only one more rule to go and we're safe. All right, congratulations. Now, rule number 4, safety equipment successfully completed. So I'm going to move on over. Okay. Rule number 5, lab behavior. Lab behavior. So again, you're going to want to type that here. Okay. Put your cursor there. Type it out. All right. So 5A, there's 2 words. The first letter is an F, and then with the first word, and then the second word, the first letter is a D. So let's start reading. So this rule may be the most important because it's all about lab behavior. Number 1, don't bring any food or drink into the lab. Okay, so 5A, the first word starts with an F. It's 4 letters long. And then the second word starts with a D. And it's 5 letters long. I think you can find it. Okay, number 2, always practice good housekeeping. Okay, let's go back to see our word scramble. The first, I gave you a lot. All right, H-O-U. It's only one word, and it begins with H-O-U. So what you're going to do is find the word on here that starts with H-O-U. Okay, and then write that down. Okay, next one, number 3. It starts with 5C. Actually starts with it's only one word, and it begins with the letter A. So never work alone in the lab. Okay, did you get it? All right. So yeah, so you've now completed the assignment. Now, once you've written everything down, once you have all of the words written down here, the next thing that you're going to do. All right, so the next thing that you're doing, once you have finished writing all of your rules down, okay, once you're finished with rule number 5, you're going to go back to Google Classroom. So let me go here. Okay, go back to Google Classroom. You're going to go to classwork, okay? And then you're going to go to number 3, assignment number 3. Then from here, what you're going to do, you're going to click on the lab safety form. All right, so what you're going to do now, it says, what is rule number 1? So what you're going to do is go back here and find what you wrote as your answer. Okay? Then it says do where 1A. What did you put for 1A? And you have to make sure that you spell everything correctly. So that means that you have to go back into Google and make sure that you spell things correctly, okay? Otherwise, you're going to get it wrong. 1B, same thing. Go back to your answer document, 1B. 1C, 1C. 1D, 1D. All right, then move on to rule number 2. Click on what the answer is. 2A. Go here. 2A, 2B, 2C. 2B and 2C is right there. Then move on to rule number 3. Okay. Oh, 3A. 3A. You're going to want to put it right there. 3B. Same thing, 3B. 3C. Go back to your answer document, 3C. 3D. 3D. 3E. 3E. And then move on to rule number 4. Okay, 4A, 4B, 4C, like I said, you're going to type in your answers. Okay, type in your answers. 4D, same thing, 4E. You're getting all your answers from here. Okay, you're going to type them exactly how they're supposed to be spelled. Do not misspell stuff. All right, rule number 5, you're going to put that there. And then from here, you do not have to write the word or. All you're going to do for 5, you're just going to write down what the words are. Okay, so for instance, right here, like the 4 letters here and then the 5 letters here, you're just going to write down what the words are. Don't put anything extra. So that is 5A. 5B, you're going to put what your answer is for 5B. And then you're going to put your answer for 5C. And then when you're finished, press the submit button. Okay? And then you're done. You did it. And this is going to be your second assignment that's going to be going into Aries, into your grade book.